Picture this. You're looking out over a massive, freezing landscape, and you suddenly realize that a staggering 90% of the Earth's total ice is stored right there, exactly where you're standing. Honestly, it's a chilling, completely awe-inspiring reality. This is Antarctica, a place that literally strips away all of your earthly sense of perspective and time.
Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're unpacking Tishani Doshi's epic literary essay, Journey to the End of the Earth. And hey, if you're a focused learner diving into this for your Ncert Class 12 exam prep, you are in the exact right place. We're going to break down this incredible text into a really visual, structured study guide, so you can easily grasp both the massive geological history and those urgent environmental warnings hidden deep within the ice.
All right, here's our game plan for the text. We're starting out on a mighty global scale and zooming all the way down to the microscopic. So, 1. Journey to the South. 2. History trapped in ice. 3. Humanity's climate ruckus. 4. The Students on Ice expedition. And finally, 5. The power of small things. Let's get into it. Starting with Section 1, Journey to the South, Madras to Antarctica. We actually begin with the sheer physical effort it takes just to reach the bottom of the world. Starting out precisely 13.09 degrees north of the equator in Madras, it took over 100 hours of continuous travel. We're talking a car, an aeroplane, and eventually a Russian research ship called the Academic Shikalsky. Seriously, imagine crossing 9 time zones, 6 checkpoints, and 3 bodies of water just to finally see that massive, uninterrupted white landscape. Doshi's very first emotion upon arriving wasn't even exhaustion, actually. It was just this profound relief, followed immediately by total wonder at how immensely isolated the continent is. Moving to Section 2, History Trapped in Ice, the macro scale. To really wrap our heads around Antarctica, we have to zoom way out on the geological clock. Let's visualize our deep past for a second. 650 million years ago, India and Antarctica were actually locked together in the exact same landmass. It was this giant amalgamated southern supercontinent called Gondwana. And for 500 million years, Gondwana absolutely thrived. But, around 65 million years ago, right around the time the dinosaurs were wiped out and mammals started showing up, this massive landmass was forced to fracture. It slowly separated into the countries and continents that shape the globe as we know it today. And wow, the contrast between then and now is pretty stark. Ancient Gondwana was much warmer, teeming with a huge variety of flora and fauna, and completely untouched by humans. Present-day Antarctica, though, it's a frigid, desolate landscape with 0 human markers. No trees, no billboards, no buildings. When South America drifted away to join North America, it opened up the Drake Passage, creating this incredibly cold circumpolar current that essentially traps Antarctica in a deep freeze at the bottom of the world. Which brings us to Section 3, Humanity's Climate Ruckus, a geological second. So, what happens when humans finally crash the party? Let's shift our perspective from 650 million years ago to the incredibly brief time we've actually been around. Human civilizations have existed for a paltry 12,000 years. When you compare that to the immense scale of the Earth's geological history we just looked at, 12,000 years is barely a few fleeting seconds on the geological clock.
But man, in that incredibly short amount of time, we've managed to create quite a ruckus. Just like the text outlines, we've really etched our dominance over nature, building villages, towns, and these sprawling megacities. Our exploding population has us constantly battling other species for limited resources. And perhaps most crucially, our unmitigated burning of fossil fuels has wrapped this thick blanket of carbon dioxide right around the globe, which is slowly but surely pushing up the average global temperature.
And this climate ruckus, it brings up some intensely debated questions about our future. Like, will the West Antarctic ice sheet melt entirely? Will the Gulf Stream be permanently disrupted? Here's the key takeaway for you. Antarctica is at the absolute dead center of this debate. Because it has never sustained a human population, it remains pristine. Plus, it holds 500,000-year-old carbon records trapped right in its ice. If we want to study the Earth's past, present, and future to actually answer these questions, Antarctica is the literal only place to go. On to Section 4, Students on Ice Expedition, the Next Generation. With the stakes this high, let's look at the specific program the author joined on the Shakalinsky. This program is headed up by a Canadian named Jeff Green. Now, Green actually got pretty tired of carting retired, rich,
curiosity seekers and celebrities down to the ice, mostly because they could only ever give back in a really limited way. So he switched gears and started taking high school students. Why? Because these teenagers are our future policymakers. They're at that perfect age where they still have the idealism to want to save the world, and most importantly, they're ready to really absorb, learn, and then act on what they see.
You know, it is way too easy for us to just be blasé about melting polar ice caps when we're sitting comfortably in our own latitudes and longitudes. But the text hits on a super powerful observation. When you travel down to the South Pole and you literally see glaciers retreating and ice shelves collapsing right in front of your eyes, the whole abstract idea of climate change just vanishes. You realize the threat of global warming is undeniably, terribly real.
And that brings us to Section 5, the power of small things, the microscale. This is the final major theme of the text.
We've talked about massive supercontinents and global carbon records, right? Now, let's zoom all the way in to the microscopic elements of Antarctica's incredibly simple ecosystem. For your exams, you absolutely need to firmly grasp this definition from the text. Phytoplankton are microscopic, single-celled marine plants. Basically, think of them as the grasses of the sea. Through photosynthesis, they use the sun's energy to assimilate carbon and synthesize organic compounds. They literally nourish and sustain the entire Southern Ocean's food chain, and scientists are warning us that any further depletion of the ozone layer is going to severely disrupt what they do.
Which leads us to what is arguably the essay's greatest metaphor and a massive takeaway for your studies. Take care of the small things and the big things will fall into place. It makes total sense, right? If the microscopic phytoplankton are wiped out by ozone depletion, it disrupts the lives of all the marine animals and birds in the region, which ultimately crashes the entire global carbon cycle. Everything is just perfectly, delicately connected.
And the author actually experiences this deep interconnectedness firsthand in this incredible moment of pure epiphany. Just short of the Antarctic Circle, their ship gets wedged in thick ice, and the passengers are told to actually step out and walk on the ocean. Just imagine that. Walking on a stark white, 1 meter thick ice pack, knowing there are 180 meters of living, breathing saltwater right beneath your boots. And out on the periphery, crab-eater seals are just stretching and sunning themselves on the ice floes, honestly acting just like stray dogs under the shade of a banyan tree back in India. It's a beautiful, staggering revelation of the balance in play on our planet.
So, the text leaves us looking forward by essentially looking back. Knowing what we now know about the Earth's violent, shifting history, how would it be if Antarctica were to become the warm place it used to be millions of years ago? And more importantly, as the planet constantly balances itself, will humanity survive our own climate ruckus to even see it? Or are we going to go the exact same way as the dinosaurs? It's a really provocative question to leave you with, and it makes understanding the ice at the end of the Earth more important now than ever. Thanks for hanging out with me on this explainer, and hey, best of luck with your studies.